That's exactly what dream work is, though, is connecting with your subconscious mind. So you could reframe it and say, I am dreaming. I'm just dreaming in a different way.
Hey mama, welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey to learning your energy of alignment and feeling good again. This is your weekly sanctuary to wake up from autopilot and transform the way you approach motherhood and life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It's my mission to help you embody the foundations of self-love, trust, and interconnection to be unapologetic in the evolution of who you are. Here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light. If you are ready to get to the roots of cultivating real change, warm up that cold coffee, pop in your earbuds, and tighten that top knot, mama. Let's discover our power within together. Hello, beautiful mamas, and welcome back to another episode of Naturally Empowered Living. This is your host, Jenna Smith, and we are back with another amazing guest on the show. What better to welcome our first guest back after like a couple months of solo episodes than someone who has had such an impact in my life? Andrea Morrison, I have so much to say. I can't wait to jump in. She is the owner and founder of Dream Life Connection, Life and Business Alchemy, and she so wonderfully and beautifully blends the practical with the magical. Oh, I love that. And she serves through online business management. She does life mentoring, dream therapy. And Andrea, as normally as you are my sounding board, always listening to me, my crazy ideas, everything going on in my business world, co-creating with me in Naturally Empowered Living. Now I am so honored and excited to learn more about you. So you have such an inspiring story. I would love to pass over the mic and just share how you got to this place, just literally, figuratively, to where you are today.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. So I have to start off by saying I'm so happy to be doing this right now because I feel like as we work together, we're always doing like voice messages and it feels like we're sending mini podcasts all the time already. And it's so exciting to finally be like, okay, we have a chunk of time where we can actually talk together. So I'm really excited. Wow, what a journey it's been. So I guess to try to kind of condense it, I was working in the corporate world for about 8 years. I was working at a major TV station, had a very like kind of glamorous job. I loved it. I was really happy there. And then I started having my own spiritual awakening. I started doing things. I started daring myself to do things solo. It was a big dare for me to go to lunch by myself. It was a big deal. And I started going to movies alone. I started taking little trips alone. And I started really figuring out what makes me tick, what I'm passionate about. And then I started reading all these spiritual books and I got really, really into dream work. So in 2016, I had my first lucid dream, and that was a dream that quite literally, quote unquote, woke me up. And that was when I was like, what is going on in this universe? Like, what is this? Why am I working at a desk? Why am I looking at a computer screen? Yes, I had amazing things about my job, but I was like, I'm not actually feeling like I'm making a difference in the world. At the end of the day, I'm trying to convince people to watch a certain channel on TV. And so I ended up learning how to play with the universe and read synchronicity, pay attention to my dreams, like really diving into my dreams. And then I decided to, through synchronicity, take a trip to Bali. And when I was in Bali, that's when I was like, there's a whole world out here that I had no idea existed. And as soon as I got back from the vacation, I submitted my resignation.
Oh my gosh.
And I went back to Bali and I lived there for a while with no job. No, I didn't know anyone. I was just sort of, and I was living in like a smaller, I guess you could call it town or village on Bali. I didn't know what a digital nomad was at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just kept going with the flow. And it turned into all sorts of different things. I ended up nannying for a while. I came back to the States. Then I moved to Thailand. I taught at a school. And then it just sort of evolved into my dream therapy and online business management because I really loved the business side of things from my TV days, the marketing element, all of that. But they're blending it with the magical, with the dream work and helping my clients like really connect with their subconscious mind, interpret their dreams, and bringing in, these topics of manifestation, all of that. I do tarot, all of that magical woo-woo stuff that I love so much. And so it's just like this perfect blend. And now living in Vietnam, running my business. And honestly, if you would have asked me 8 years ago that I would be here, I would have been like, you are joking. That will
Right.
never happen. So it's kind of wild how I got here. I thought I was going to do a condensed version, but it wasn't very condensed.
That's yes, it was. 'Cause I'm like, tell me more. Like I have so many. So your dreams, were they a big part of your spiritual awakening? Like, do you feel like once you woke up, like, so you were very connected kind of from the get-go? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you start really diving into the symbols. And then when you have lucid dreams, they just, at least for me, it was like, it made me realize that there's something going on in the world that like science can't really explain.
Right.
My first lucid dream was me flying over Mario World. I was actually flying through this dome that was covering Seattle, where I lived at the time. And I'm flying through, it's turbulent. I break through, and then it's this blue sky with like white puffy clouds and a rainbow tail following me, flying over Mario World. Big celebration. And it turned out that I was Princess Peach in the dream.
Go girl.
And they were having a celebration because they were like, she's lucid, she's lucid. And so it sounds ridiculous when I talk about it, but I woke up, I'm not kidding, and I screamed, I flew, because it felt so real in the dream. And so I just kept going further into my dreams, having more lucid dreams, really understanding what was going on with my subconscious mind, what like my deep desires were, what my blocks were, all of that. And that's what like really, I forget what your initial question was,
No,
but
this is it. Like, keep going.
yeah. It's just when you start, I feel like dreams are often overlooked. I always say it's a healing modality that people don't really turn to. It just
Mhm.
sort of, when people start sharing their dreams, I know back in the day, if somebody was like, oh, I had this crazy dream, I'd be like, I don't care. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean anything. But now, if anybody shares their dream with me, I'm so honored and I love helping them interpret it. But I recognize that you're sharing a piece of your soul with me because
Yeah.
they really do illuminate things. It's just sometimes hard to understand what they're trying to tell you.
Mhm.
But that's why when you spend more time with them, they say that dreams are the language of your subconscious mind. And
Mhm.
so when you learn that language, then, I mean, now I have crazy dreams and I wake up and I instantly know what it's trying to tell me.
Um, this just clicked that I'm going through the meditation certification, that my instructors related meditation a lot to dreaming, because like because like getting to that, because meditation also is one of those, you're supposed to sit still, legs crossed, be silent, clear your mind.
Hmm.
The exact opposite.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
allowing your body to naturally do what it needs to do, to heal, to process, to reflect, to, rehearse, what's going to happen upcoming, and to naturally allow, like, bring that subconscious in. So let's backtrack a little bit. Like, I'm just like, oh my God.
Sorry.
So a couple questions. What is a lucid dream? I think you described
Mhm.
it a little bit, but again, like in layman's terms, simple terms, what is a lucid dream? And then can you kind of define kind of how you do your dream work? I know it's kind of like a twofold question, or like a dream work
Absolutely.
is.
Okay, so yes, of course. So a lucid dream is when you are aware you're dreaming while you're in the dream. And
Oh,
then and
okay.
then the next layer is you can control it. So that first dream that I had, the first lucid dream where I was flying, I woke up and I did the techniques that I had been training for, which I can share in this episode. I'd be happy to. And then I did the techniques, and then that's when I woke up in my dream and realized, oh my gosh, I'm in my dream right now. You know, it's like Inception.
Hmm.
You realize you're dreaming, and then I was like, what should I do? What should I do? And then I heard a voice say, just open the door and you'll know what to do. And I opened my bedroom door in the dream, stepped out, and I started flying. And then that's when I could like control how I was flying, where I was going. I was doing all these cool tricks with the rainbow following me. And so your second question was about how how do you do dream work essentially, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Sorry.
So
Can we stop though for a second?
yeah.
The lucid dream part. Sorry, I shouldn't have asked two questions in one. I used to do that all the time when I was little. Like
Really?
I'm starting to cry because I'm having flashbacks of like, I'd call them like, I'd have two or three dreams in one because I would know what I was doing in the first dream. And then I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not ready to wake up yet. So what's next? And then, oh, I'm gonna start crying because like
Yeah.
I'd also have repeating dreams. And I could tell like there's two repeating dreams that I would
Mhm.
always have. Um, that's so fascinating. I have like
Yeah.
chills because I was like, okay, what the hell does this mean? But that's
Well,
so fascinating.
kids are so amazing at dreaming. They're such vivid dreamers, and kids are more likely to have these vivid, lucid dreams because they don't have the filters yet. They don't have the stresses yet. They just do what we're supposed to do when we're meditating, which is just let your mind go, let it take you
Mhm.
where it's supposed to go. So a lot of us are vivid dreamers when we're kids, and then as we grow older, we sort of lose that. And part of it too is because a lot of us don't think that dreams are important. They just think they're random neurons firing in our brain. Like they don't, it's why would I dream about a cat in a parachute or something? But you don't realize that that cat in a parachute could mean something very, very deep about you.
Mhm.
So dreams are important. Once you start truly believing that, maybe they'll start coming back. Because I know a lot of us, when we get older, we lose that connection with the dreams.
Sure. So okay, this is then the second question. Like define dream work. Like how does this kind of how do you interpret? How do you like go into dream work therapy and help people and things like that?
Yeah. So dream work as a whole is really, I mean, I say it's connecting with your dreams. That's why I call my business Dream Life Connection, but because it's about connecting with your dreams, but also looking at life as if it's a dream.
Hmm.
And so when you start paying attention to your dreams, the first step actually is remembering your dreams.
Hmm.
And I have a method that I call the dream method. And so you start with a D, which is desire. You need to have the desire to dream. And I like a deep desire, like truly as you fall asleep, like I want to remember my dreams. This is
Hmm.
important because you need to remind your subconscious mind, this is important. Please help me remember.
Hmm.
R is record. Record anything you remember, even when you wake up. It's really hard to do. I know you're half asleep,
Hmm.
but when you wake up, write down one word or write down how you're feeling, anything to try to jog your memory. And the more you do it, the better, easier it comes. E is examine. Examine how you're feeling. Like pay attention to how you're feeling when you wake up. A is absorb. A, absorb to me means don't just think about dreams at night as you're falling asleep. Really have it in on your conscious mind as well throughout the day. Listen to podcasts, read books about it, talk about your dreams with your significant others, your friends, your kids.
Hmm.
Talk to your kids about your dreams. Ask them about their dreams. The more you talk about it, the more it signals to your subconscious mind, oh, this is important. Let's work on remembering them.
Hmm.
And then M is maintain. And that's one of the hardest things is it's not It can be, but it's usually not instant. You usually don't get instant lucidity the first night you try it. It takes time. So once you start practicing building this dream work modality and practice, you'll start remembering. Then you'll start when you record them in your dream journal, which is going to be one of the most important journals you have in your life, I promise. You'll start noticing patterns. You will notice you start dreaming of certain symbols or certain feelings, certain people, and everything in your dream is a part of you. And I mean, I could keep going and going and going. I feel like I could go down 20 different paths, but essentially, whatever you're dreaming about is a piece of you. So if you dream about a specific person, it doesn't necessarily mean, do I need to call that person? Is something happening with them? It could,
Mm-hmm.
but it usually means that person represents a certain part of you. So figure out what they represent in you and what was happening in the dream. What were they doing? What were they saying? How are they making you feel? And then you can work with it. And it's very intuitive. You get really, really intuitive with all of your dreams. And I recommend not turning to a dream dictionary and just reading, like, what does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have to turn inward and figure out, what does this mean to me specifically and the context of my life? And
Mm-hmm.
then the next few steps are becoming lucid, and you build up that practice by remembering, recording, and then there's little techniques that you can do. They're called reality checks. And so throughout the day, you can look at your hands and you ask yourself, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? And this is how I got lucid. And it feels really weird because you're like, obviously, I'm not dreaming,
Yeah.
but you build the habit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because once you start getting lucid in your dreams, you wake up and you look at your hands and you have the habit and you ask, am I dreaming? But your hands don't look normal in dreams. So that very first lucid dream I had, I did it, and then my hands were all like bubbly and distorted, and that's what told me, you're lucid, you're
Oh,
dreaming. And
interesting.
then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my dream. I've had dreams where my fingers were hot dogs. I've had dreams where my fingers were mirrors. And that's what tells me I'm dreaming.
Sure. So
So
that's like
then
your signal. Like that's amazing.
exactly. And there's a lot of different reality checks you can do. And then to bring it all full circle, you work with your dreams, but then you bring it into your reality. You
Mm-hmm.
bring it into your waking life. It is so much fun to go throughout your day and act as if it's a dream. And then you can interpret it's like signs. Like anytime you get a sign, it's like anything that happens, anyone you meet, any conversation, you can interpret it as if it's a dream. And I always say, I love how Tibetan yogis look at dream work. And they say, life is a dream. It's all connected. There's no ending of reality and beginning of dream time. It's all one dream. And so it's so much fun to go through life and experience these things and ask yourself, okay, what is this teaching me? Why
Yeah.
did I meet this person? Why did they say this? What does this say about me and how I feel about certain things?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There's dream work.
Well,
So
that's incredible.
I
And
can
what,
just go on and on.
well, and like you were just using your hands when you were just talking about like how it's all one, like it's all connected. There is no stop and start. And
Hmm.
let's dive into that a little bit, like the subconscious and your conscious, because I feel like a few years ago, I had no idea, like, what is my subconscious? It's like there's so much depth into, I mean, now I could take so many avenues, right? Like there's so many
Please do.
depth. Yeah, there's so much depth into our subconscious minds and into what we see in our reality and how we can, go into neuroplasticity. Like that's taking the science route,
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
into, just being like consciously aware and intentive or, going back to how you were raised as a child to how your reality is now. Like there's so much depth into the subconscious. So talk about that with dream work, bridging that gap between I mean, do you have like aha moment? I mean, of course, like the signs, the aha moments, but kind of bridging that gap between subconscious and then conscious kind of reality and how you could help people find clarity or,
Hmm.
kind of help people along that path of bridging that gap of, okay, this is something that's coming up for my subconscious. Let's work with this.
Absolutely. Well, I think the statistic is 90% of our life is dictated by our subconscious mind. We don't
Mhm.
even
Isn't that
really
wild?
realize that. And when you become
Crazy.
aware of that, it becomes really powerful to start connecting with your subconscious
Mhm.
mind and dream work. There's so many different ways you can connect with your subconscious mind. Obviously, I lean towards dream work just because it's kind of fun. It's dreams can be really silly. They can include puns, metaphors. It's not very direct. Like, you are feeling this way. This is what this means. It's like a puzzle, and it
Mhm.
makes it, at least to me, it makes it kind of fun. And when my
Mhm.
clients share their dreams with me, it's like I'm kind of asking these questions to try to get to the bottom of like, what does this truly mean? And I've had multiple dreams, especially as I'm traveling and living this kind of nomadic lifestyle. There's a lot of times that consciously I wonder, should I go back to the corporate life? Should I go back to my TV job? And that question is on my conscious mind fairly regularly, but I have dreams all the time where I go back to my old TV station and it's somehow different. The last dream that I had with that was all the news anchors, all my former coworkers, they were still there, but they all were wearing like strange glasses or had like clown hair. Everybody just like looked kind of odd. And when I was walking around in the dream, I was like, this is not my place anymore. I don't belong here. So then when I woke up, it was like another reminder, you're doing the right thing. Like you deep down, even though you're consciously wondering if you should go back, your dreams are telling you, don't, you're on the right path. So a
Mhm.
lot of times these dreams can help you really, really get to the root of what's actually going on. I've had clients share very intense, intimate dreams. And when we unpacked it, a lot of times what dreams might say on the surface level, the truth behind it, the root of it is the complete opposite. So then they have these like aha moments where they're like, I did not think of it that way.
Mhm.
That makes so much sense. Okay. And it brings this like sense of clarity in their life. And I feel like a lot of the dreams, especially nightmares
That was
are
my
some
next
of the
question.
best.
Yeah.
Yes, they're, it's a misconception that nightmares are these horrific things. And yes, they are not fun to have, but
Mhm.
they're some of the best dreams that you can have because they have there, you can work with them so much and they usually have the deepest message. And like I was saying before with the Tibetan yogis, I'll never forget when I went to this dreamwork seminar and one of the dream yogis said, if you're having nightmares, it means you're a bad listener because your subconscious mind is trying to send you messages, lessons, things you need to like work through or understand, and you're not getting it. So then they get a little bit more intense. And by the time you're hitting the nightmare, that's when it's like, okay, figure it out. This is a big
Yeah.
thing we need you to work through. And I always tell my clients, it's like, you need to hug the monster. You find the scary monster in your dream, and usually it's something that just needs love or attention or understanding. And it can completely change your reality when you start hugging that monster and
Mhm.
understanding these deep subconscious symbols.
The connection of what you're saying to like meditation, because the same types of things, like we're going to shove it under the rug. We don't want to sit with that today. No, the scary thoughts come, my intrusive thoughts, my, like these
Mhm.
thoughts that I'm having, the negative thoughts. And again, going back to the 90% being subconscious, well, 90% of our thoughts are typically, not always hunky dory, rainbows, butterflies. So, there's just so much depth into, you could say if you don't feel safe, if you don't want to sit with whatever is coming up for you today, you could say no, not today, but be
Mhm.
ready. Your subconscious mind is going to keep bringing things to surface that need to be tended to, and until you're ready to do that. So
Exactly.
I have a new business idea for us. Meditation, dream
I
work,
know.
like bridging the
It's
connect,
all
like bridging.
connected.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. As you're talking, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's just all, what did the Tibetan yogis say? Like it's all one, like it's all
It's
connected. There's
all
never.
life is a dream. Life is a dream.
It's
Hmm.
all right. So you already brought up the nightmares because that was my next question. Because Jace, of
Hmm.
course, my oldest, saw it's already Halloween mode around our house. He saw
Hmm.
some ad or some commercial yesterday, and this morning he wakes up and goes, I'm done with TV forever. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind that. But I said, what happened? It was first thing he said to me this morning. And he's like, I had a nightmare about, I forget what he even said. I go, well, I must have been not paying attention because I had no idea what he was talking about. I think I was getting Jalen up from her nap because I remember he only watched TV for like 20 minutes yesterday. And then because we had to leave and whatever.
Wow. And he
But
dreamed
yeah,
about it.
and then he
Hmm.
had a dream, he had a nightmare about it. So that's
Oh,
just so, because that was going to be my next question. Because what if I
yeah.
wake up and have this scary, intrusive, just bad nightmare dream? Like, how can I see that as good? So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you touched on that.
Yeah. 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 Of
Oh,
course.
yeah. Maybe we could talk about that offline too, because I kind of brushed it off because he's like, look it up on Google. I want you to see the picture. I was like, no, because I don't want to have a scary dream.
Well, a lot of times, it's like you have to look at also what you're doing at before you're falling asleep. So it doesn't really surprise me that that happened. So
Hmm.
usually the dream symbols that happen in your life come from maybe 1 to 2 days before you have the dream. So like think about these experiences. But since I started my dream work practice, I have gotten rid of all the dark, heavy, scary shows I used to watch because I realized when I watched them, they were giving me nightmares too, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to have these nightmares. And it could be a result of watching the shows. Maybe it's a result of my subconscious mind trying to work something. But all I know is if I see something specific before I fall asleep, it's very common that it'll appear in my dream. You
Hmm.
can still interpret it in some kind of way, but you have to be really careful what you're consuming
Yeah.
as you're falling asleep. I know
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of people scroll as they're falling asleep,
Hmm.
and that can really impact your dreams.
For sure. Well, yeah, of course, because it makes so much sense.
Hmm.
I stopped watching. I love like ID Network and like all
Hmm.
the crime junkie stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Well, when I became a mom, I like intrusive
Hmm.
thoughts, like I still
Hmm.
struggle with them. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that is the first thing that I am changing in my, like guilty pleasure, routine or whatever, because I'm like, I can't do this. It's
I can only do Hallmark Channel at this point.
that's where
It's the
I'm
only
at. I'm
thing.
like, if it's not a happy ending, I'm like, there's still hope in the works. Everyone's like, a happy ending isn't reality. I was like, it can be. It's giving
It
hope.
can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It
Yes.
is. It
Uh-huh.
is. The good guy always wins.
I know. Thank you. Oh, there's a
Yes.
movie on Netflix. It's called Wonder. Oh, if you haven't
I
seen
haven't watched it yet.
I am crying thinking about it. It is such a good movie about, because it's about a young boy. I'm sorry, we're
Hmm.
going totally off topic. But Jace wanted to watch it one night, and I was like, it's not a cartoon. Like, I want to look into it before we watch it, right? Like, what is it? Oh my gosh, it essentially brings in all people's perspectives. Like, there's a bully, there's a sister that has a special needs brother. So it's like bringing in all their different perspectives and their stories of like their, days, and it's like it was just it was so good, but it ended happily because it could have taken a lot of hard, dark turns. So I was like, please no, please no. And
Oh,
it was just perfect. It was
okay,
such a
that's a
good,
relief.
I had my whole family watch it, like, and my mom,
Oh,
like,
okay, I'll
yeah,
watch it.
it was so good. So good. Anyways, reeling it back in. So, I know that I've told you this already, and it's so fascinating how like dreaming was a really big part of your spiritual awakening. I
Mm-hmm.
went through a couple spiritual awakenings, but a really, really, really big one this
Mm-hmm.
past March.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not remembered a dream
Yeah.
ever since. And
Mm-hmm.
I've thought it's really odd because I have been a very like avid dreamer. Like I wouldn't journal about my dreams, but I would love dreaming. Like I said, like I would have recurrent dreams. I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
have always been really connected with my dreams. I've never taken, the messages from them, but I've just loved it. So I feel like spirituality, and as you're talking, like it's a big piece of like, well, your dreams and like with your spirituality and evolution and like bringing it all, like connecting it. So like, how do you have
Yeah.
any insight of like why that can be? Because it's like black, maybe because I'm tired, and I like need the
Yes.
sleep because of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
stuff
you're
that
kind of a mom, so that impacts your dreams
when I
too.
need rest, I have my dark sleep or my deep sleep. But yeah, what's the
Yeah.
absence of dreaming? Like, what might that be telling me?
It could be a lot of different things. And I know that's probably not the answer you want to hear, but there could be, the typical physical, physiological, biological aspects where you're stressed or you're
Mhm.
just simply too tired. Maybe you're spending more time in deep sleep than in REM. And it could also be, and I'm saying this because I know what you're going through, and I know you're working very, very hard on all of these different with your meditation practice and all of that. So it's called dream silence. So
Mhm.
dream silence is definitely a thing. And it could just be you might be, well, you are having dreams. Everybody dreams. You
Right.
might just not be remembering them because your subconscious mind is basically telling you you're not ready
Mhm.
to focus on your dreams yet. And again, this is just a theory or an idea. I don't know if this is what's happening with you specifically, but I would encourage you to kind of take some time, turn inward, and maybe have some moments with your intuition, your subconscious mind, and maybe like try to get to the bottom of it too. But you could just be going through this big transition. You didn't go through a spiritual awakening. You are in it right now. And
Mhm.
you are working on becoming this leader with meditation. So all your focus is on this skill, if you want to call it
Right.
that. So then your subconscious mind could be blocking these dreams from being remembered until you're ready.
Mhm.
Maybe you're just not ready yet. And that's not a bad thing. It just means you're focusing on something else right now.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Right. Well, that's the message that I'm getting. Everything that you said, I was
There
like,
you go.
oh shit. Like that's exactly, oh, it's so funny because like, of course, in my meditations, like I don't always go to the same meadow and like, but I have like my home in
Hmm.
my meditations. And like I have like Archangel Michael and like there's angels there and some loved ones on, that are on
Yeah.
the other side and my family. Like this, it depends, who's gathering there. But every time when I've brought this up, because I've obviously been very curious, like why don't I remember my dreams?
Uh-huh.
And Serafina, does that ring any
Yeah,
bell?
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
So
The goddess.
I get this glimpse of like her and she's always saying like soon, 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 like you're not there yet. And then I'm like,
Oh
well,
my
what's going on?
God.
And it's just so wild because she's like what did she like something about like in school. I don't know if that like again, like the interpretations again, like within meditation, it seems very similar in dreams, but like
Hmm.
you're doing it, you're going through it right now. And when
Hmm.
you're ready, like it's gonna be coming, it'll come to your conscious mind. But right now, like you're going through it. Like it's just
Yeah.
in your perception
But
of, you know,
that's exactly what dream work is, though, is connecting with your subconscious mind. So you could reframe it and say, I am dreaming. I'm just dreaming in a different way.
yeah,
You're dreaming when you meditate.
yeah,
You're becoming lucid when you meet Serafina. You're going to this meadow. That is a
yeah,
form of a dream. So you
right.
are dreaming. It's just in a different way.
I know I don't take naps, so I meditate in the middle of
I love
And
that.
that's so funny because I like, when my conscious mind comes back, it's like, Jenna, like you're getting not even 8 hours of sleep every night. I'm sure it's just because like when you go to bed at night, like you are tired,
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
and getting woken up in the middle of the night and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just so fascinating, but that was the same message that I got. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. So thanks.
Yes.
So you answered my next question of like if someone feels disconnected to their dreams, or what if they're like, well, I don't like this dream that I'm having. Like I feel like I know your answer, but like, will it be like an acceptance and like an honoring of these are the dreams that you're having, so this is something that needs to be tended to, or kind of how can you help
Yeah.
people rekindle their connection there to their dreams
Yeah.
or lack thereof?
I think just spending some time with that, if it's a recurring dream, spending some time with it, really trying to figure out what is this dream trying to tell me. Obviously, if you keep having it, there's something going on that maybe you just haven't really even thought about. And I've had some clients that have had recurring dreams, and we finally analyze, I don't like the word analyzed, but spend some time with these specific dream symbols that kept coming up. And then when we figured out what they were trying to tell her or them, then the dreams stopped happening. And for me, I remember I was having a lot of night terrors. And a night terror is when I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but it's when you wake up consciously, but your body's not awake. And so you're like frozen. And a lot of times in the night terror, there's, at least for me, well, actually not for me. I didn't even know this at the time, but I started seeing this like dark figure in my room or hovering above me. And that is actually a universal thing that happens with night terrors. And it was always so terrifying because I would try to scream and I couldn't wake up, and it was
Mhm.
really, really scary. And then when I started getting better with my dreams, I had another night terror. This was probably 2 years ago, and I used to have them all the time. And about 2 years ago, I woke up. It was a night terror, saw the figure, but I became lucid in the night terror, and I was talking myself through it, and I was saying, "It's okay, Andrea. You're sleeping. You're safe. You're in your bed. There's nobody there. It's
Mhm.
okay. Just give it some time." I woke up, haven't had a night terror since. So
Nice.
it's really just, you don't even necessarily have to interpret it a million different ways if you just spend some time with it. And there's a phrase called dream the dream on, which means that if you have this dream, try to live it out in your reality. Because again, life is a dream. Maybe there's something you need to do in your reality for this dream to cease. Dream the dream on. So I can share, like, there's even some really interesting techniques to work with your dreams. And one of them is to dance the dream. And again, it always feels a little silly, but if you don't have to be so literal with it. You can do this like somatic exercise with it and move through the dream. Maybe the dream just needs to be alive.
Mhm.
And by giving it movement, that's the way that the dream lives through you, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And I don't want to bring up my family and everything, but everything that you're saying, I'm just like, I'm connecting so many dots. You probably are
That
looking at
makes
me on
me
the screen
happy.
right now and you're like, because I'm like just staring because I have to share it. Can I share another story?
Of
Oh
course,
my gosh, I
please.
know. So, okay, my daughter, so now my youngest, she's 2.5. Ever since she could make any sort of communication, I mean, this has been going on for probably close to 2 years, right? She has been deathly afraid of Baba Black Sheep. Deathly.
Hmm.
Like to the point of where I looked what the melody is. Okay, she's not scared of ABCs. She's not scared of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star because I think those are the two that have the same melody. So I'm like, okay, it's either the sheep, you know, so I'm like trying to figure out what it is because I'm like, it's not the melody. I looked up like the origin of Baba because I'm like thinking past life, but like I don't have, you know, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff.
Hmm.
But it's just that's the only thing that she ever has nightmares about. Like even during the day, like if Baba comes on the TV or if the song comes on, we're turning it off. But
Wow.
like when you were bringing up night terrors, that's
Uh-huh.
that's what made it click. And I was like, how did I not think of Jalen until just now in this conversation? Because it's been like it's very apparent within, you know, our life. And she's up every night at 1 o'clock, every single night between 1 and like
Wow.
1:15. And that could just be a sleep cycle thing too. But Baba. And sometimes
Hmm.
she's not fully w woken up, like what you were saying. So I'll just like rub her back and just say you're safe, because
Hmm.
she'll never wake or like open her eyes or anything. But sometimes she will, and then she'll tell me like what the nightmare was, and it's always Baba.
Wow.
I have like shivers, but we have a black cat. So I've also like, well, is it Betty? Like, is Betty coming into your bed at night? She's, I mean, a very friendly, like Jalen is obsessed like with Betty and Betty loves the kids. But I'm just, it's very, and again, like just telling you this surface level, I don't expect you to interpret anything, but it's just like you wonder. Like I've gone into depths of
Hmm.
trying
Hmm.
to figure it out. It's just so, because I know it's a recurring something. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wonder if there's some way you could work with that. And it's almost like the black sheep is like the monster, you know, and
right.
I'm
Mhm.
imagining, okay, what if you got her a cute little stuffed black sheep and then
Mhm.
have her like hug it
Oh,
and and
yeah.
just cuddle with it and be like, see, it's not scary, it's cute, it's soft. It's like, you know, make sure you get one that's like really cute.
Yeah.
And then maybe that will give her kind of a shift. I don't know if that would work, but that's probably what I would try to do because
Sure.
a lot of those things just you have to reframe it into something positive.
Right.
Because if she keeps dreaming about it or if it comes up on the TV, by turning off the TV right away, that is like confirming to her,
Right.
yes, it's scary, it's bad.
Mhm.
So it's what do they call it? It's maybe this isn't the best for a child, but it's almost like a form of exposure therapy,
Right.
you know, and having her face it, but in a safe,
Right.
protected way.
Yeah. Well, same with
That
like the meditation. Like you could say, no, no, not today. By me turning off the TV, that's me saying, no, not today. We're not going to face
hmm
that today. It's
hmm
so fascinating. Gosh.
hmm
Because here I am. I'm just like, I don't like, because I'm like, this has been since you've been a tiny, tiny little infant. Like, how can you? Maybe it's
Yeah.
been something silly, like she had a, you know, got the dog hit her when she was watching it when she was tiny, and I had no idea, or you know, something little like that. But it's
Yeah.
seriously, it's so apparent to the fact of like everyone knows about Baba
That's
Black Sheep.
so interesting. Hmm.
I'm gonna start with I maybe I will get her a nice little plushie or something.
That'd be
Thanks.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
Tell me
know.
how
Well,
that
see,
goes.
well, because at night sometimes, you know, it's dark. I mean, they have night lights or whatever, which I try to not have them have night lights, but they have their lights on or whatever. And Jace,
Hmm.
or if Jalen is scared, like she'll say, you know, like I don't want Baba to come in the room or whatever, and the kids share a room. And Jace sometimes he's like,
Oh,
Jalen, you're freaking me out, you know.
oh,
You know, it gets to that point too sometimes, like what's going on in her little mind? It's so fascinating.
oh my gosh. It is so interesting. And I wish
Uh-huh.
they could like really like say what's
I
going
know.
on.
I have it
They don't have that
documented.
communication quite yet, but
Yeah, like
oh,
I have it, it's
so
documented, it's
interesting.
time stamped because I was like, I am getting to the bottom of this. It's just so, so
Yes.
interesting. So, okay.
Mhm.
Sorry. I don't thank you for allowing me that space to share about So, so many people, I'm sure, like if they are into their dreams or you know, want to look into dream work therapy, like they're looking for some sort of alignment, clarity, maybe just, you know, bridging that connection from their dreaming to you know, their conscious awake life. So how you've shared a lot already, like with techniques and stuff, but
Mhm.
like do you have any final like advice on interpreting your dreams like yourself or because you shared your dream acronym and other things like that.
Mhm.
But are there any
Yeah.
other tips, advice, or anything?
I would say the first thing that I would do is almost create a ceremony for yourself and go and get a new journal.
Mm,
and get a dream journal specifically for your dreams. And what I always recommend is getting a spiral bound journal because you want it to be open. You want to limit as many hurdles as possible. So
mm,
have your journal already open to the page, have your pen already clicked, and have it by your bedside, obviously, and just be prepared to start writing it down and be gentle with yourself because it's not the easiest thing to do. Some people it they already have it. It's very natural. For me, it took quite a while. My very first dream I recorded was maybe 6 words, and then now I can write like 2 or 3 pages on a dream.
oh my gosh.
But you just start slowly and build it up. I also think one of the best things that you can do is just start talking about your dreams. And I know a lot of people, like I said earlier, don't really seem to see the significance of dreams. Maybe they don't really care or want to talk about it. Talk about it with someone who is interested. Talk about it with your family members or friends. Find someone. I mean, message me if you want. I get messages all the time with about like specific dreams. But the more you talk about it, the more you connect with them essentially, and it can be really, really fun and be easy on yourself if you can't remember them, if you can't interpret something specific. I'm not even kidding. Sometimes the dreams don't really get, some dreams don't get answered until sometimes months later. You'll
Mhm.
have an experience and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I had a dream that relates to this. Oh my gosh, I wonder if that was telling me how I feel about the situation or whatever it was.
Mhm.
So I always say kind of walk around with like your dream radar on. Just
Mhm.
be open to, sometimes you'll have prophetic dreams. Sometimes you'll have dreams where you literally dream it and then it happens. Just go around your reality with this kind of radar on. Like, what
Mhm.
could this mean? What could this mean? Oh, does this relate to my dream? I always recommend too, this is actually a really, really fun tip, and I call it dream answers. Sometimes when you wake up, you're like, that is the most random dream. What does that mean? It's too random for me. But it's because it doesn't have context. You
Mhm.
can come up with some meanings or interpretations. But what I recommend is before you go to sleep, ask a question that you want your dream to answer. So then you can ask, what should I do about this situation? What is blocking me from achieving this goal? Whatever question you have, then when you have that seemingly super random dream, you gave it context with the question, and then you can interpret it easier with that question in mind.
Mhm. Oh, that's profound. And I don't know if you agree with this, but I say this all the time on this show is that there are so many parallels. And the context I'll give from the example that you just shared is like, because I say that all the time of like sitting with yourself within meditation, letting your intuition speak to you.
Hmm.
Call it the Holy Spirit, call it your intuition,
Hmm.
call it your subconscious mind. Like again,
Yeah.
like that's where I'm coming in with like there's so many parallels with and then the different modalities of the experts, teaching said modality or said, thing. It's so fascinating, just the connections that you share with your dream work that, I mean, within meditation, where we're connecting to our inner wisdom.
Hmm.
It's
All the
yourself.
same.
Yeah,
It's
it's the
all the same.
same. So, and that's like to our dear listeners, like if you want to put in different terminology, I guess, like if you have a
Mhm.
different word that, you could put into there, not intuition, not Holy Spirit, subconscious, whatever that might be. Because again, like however connections that you make, right? That
Mhm.
what resonates with you, because that like it's magic. It truly is magic.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's so cool too. You are like meant to do meditation, and there's so many different, like we keep saying, modalities, ways of getting to the root or to
Hmm.
connect with ourselves. for example, astrology. It's really powerful for some people. For me, for some reason, I have a harder time connecting with that.
Mhm.
But dream work is what worked for me. It stuck with me. And then it was a crazy epiphany when I realized my name, Andrea Morrison, literally has the word dream in it. And I was like, oh, well, that's
Oh
a
my,
really good dream symbol.
oh my
So
golly.
yeah, it was just a really cool sign that I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm meant to be doing this. This
Hmm.
is literally my calling. And so different people resonate with different things. Some people like meditation more, some people like astrology or whatever it is. Dreaming is just another way of connecting with yourself.
Right. I feel like down to the core, like
Mhm.
it's all the same, like it's all connected.
We're all one, we're all
I know.
connected.
We'll bring woo woo in here. So, okay,
Yes.
where can we find you? Like what services do you offer? Tell us about Andrea and Dream Life Connection.
Of course. Well, Dream Life Connection. You can find me on Instagram or my website, dreamlifeconnection.com. And I do a lot of mentoring, dream therapy, lots of calls with people and helping them interpret their dreams, but also going even further than dreams and doing a form of like life coaching and the spiritual elements and all of that. And I also do online business management,
Oh my,
which
we didn't
I'm
even talk
doing with
about
you,
it.
which I know, but it's okay.
Oh
I
my
it's
God.
it's all good. But with online business management, it seems like it's very different than dream therapy. It's like, oh, that's kind of, those are two separate things. But to me, it's so connected, especially
Mhm.
because all my clients are like you and we're all in that spiritual realm. I have human design clients and that again, that's why I say I blend the practical with the magical. It's like we do business together, but it's so much more than that. I'm helping my clients live out their dharma and doing the tangible things like social media, websites, all of that, but also the energetics behind it and providing your purpose to the world and fulfillment to your life. And so it's been really, really fun to create my dream job. I thought when I was at the TV station, I thought that was it. I thought I was going to retire there. And then here I am now, and it's like I literally I created my job.
Mhm.
It's amazing. So, and I just want to help others do the same. And
Mhm.
that doesn't mean quit your job and start a business. It just means getting in tune with who you are and living a life that you're happy with. Because I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are going through life like a hamster wheel, which I was before.
Mhm.
And I just want people to see the hope in the world, to know that there's a good ending, because
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know right now it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it.
Right. Right.
But I just love blending it all together. So
You have a gift, and I speak to that just because I am a client of yours. And when we started working together, excuse me, you were just transitioning from because you were a virtual assistant and
mhm,
noticing like, hey, I'm doing a lot of like that work with them, let it be online business management, but a lot of, strategy, call it if you want to call it that, or like the energetics behind it. And
mhm,
I prayed for years to find someone to work with that felt aligned to me. And I forced, I don't know how many people, not like it, they just weren't a fit, right? Like amazing
mhm.
people, they just weren't a fit within
Yeah.
what I was looking for. And by golly, that 2 a.m. wake up call, and I Googled spiritual virtual assistant or whatever I Googled, and I filled out your intake form, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like she's the one. Like I just knew it, and I'm just
You're
so
making
thankful
me
for you. I've
cry.
already cried, cry in this
It's,
episode. I've already
oh
cried.
God.
Oh, it's
I
you
remember
have a
getting
gift.
your intake form and I was like, we speak the same language. Like,
Because I
and then
felt
I
like,
started getting your messages and emails and I'm like, wow, we both write the same way and we write a lot.
hi, I'm
Oh,
Jenna. Yeah, that intake form was probably a lot of gibberish, but oh, just thank
it's
you.
so
I mean,
fun.
I'm so fascinated with your dream work. And I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface and like that part of your expertise and like your gift, like what you said, like your dharma, your calling, your purpose. You're there, girlfriend. Like it is so
Well,
powerful.
you are too. You are too. And it's been so fun
Yeah.
to be a part of this journey. And I just feel like this is just the beginning. And it's like, oh, you're doing it right. You're doing it
Mhm.
good. And I'm so excited to see where it all takes you.
Yeah. Just, yeah. The validation of I don't even know. We could go on and on. Oh my gosh. Okay. So dreamlifeconnection.com. Find her on Instagram at dreamlifeconnection. I know you have incredible freebies. You have your website is beautiful. Go
Well,
check her
thank
out, Andrea Morrison.
Yeah.
I thank you so, so much. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
I know
I'm
it's
so
9
honored.
o'clock p.m. your time right now.
No, you're fine.
Oh, golly.
I'm
So,
gonna go off to Dreamland soon, so
yay.
I'm excited.
Yay. Well, go enjoy your dreamland. I cannot wait to edit this episode and listen back to this episode. And to everyone that listened, thank you for being here. Everything that we talked about will be linked in the show notes where to find Andrea. Thank you. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sweet
and
dreams.
until next week, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. We are sending our love and light.
Did you find this episode relatable or empowering? Peace with my love of you.
Thank you for spending this sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. I pray this episode has brought you a step closer to tuning into your energy of alignment. And if it has, please consider leaving a written review sharing how this show has impacted you. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps other moms find their way to this community. And if it feels right, please share this episode with another mom who might be struggling to remind her that she's never alone. Be sure to check the show notes for more ways to connect and explore how we could work together to reclaim your power and deepen your relationship within. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.